So guys, welcome. This is our second of our national lunch and learns. Last month, we had the incredible Haley Garcia. Absolutely wonderful to start it off. And I didn't know if someone could one-up Haley, but now that I see her on the screen and have seen her present 3 times nationally, Marjorie, thank you so much. Thank you for being with us. I am starting to hear more and more fear in the market, more and more squirrels, if you will. And the fact that you're giving us the hour of your time, I am so honored to have you here. Thank you very much. For those of you that don't know Marjorie, she is one of the nation's top realtor coaches. She is one of the nation's top real estate agents. And if you haven't had the pleasure to hear her speak, you guys are in a wonderful treat. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Marjorie. This is Marjorie Adam.
Thanks, guys. So yes, fear, fear in the market. Certainly. We're hearing it more and more. So I'm in Charlottesville, Virginia. I know you guys are all over the country, but I'm in a pretty small market, and there is no doubt that the fear is here. Sellers are not grasping that the market has changed. Buyers are freaking out about the interest rates because, of course, they hear all these different things and they forget that historically 3% is not natural nor forever sustainable. And of course, it's been super competitive. So we're going to really work on working with buyers. And I think this is something that any lenders listening help the realtors with, because I think also when you have a market like we've had, arguably, let's say the last 3 years, just to pick a time frame, people also get a little lazy, right? So I think it's just people walk in, you're like, here they are, more buyers, more sellers. Yes, you're in the flow. And now it's like, uh-oh. So let's really kind of take a look at 3 keys to being successful in this market, right? So buyer, seller, whatever it is. So I think all of us, lenders and realtors, one, we got to stay motivated. It's hard because it's slower right now. So we have to have a high desire to be successful and a positive attitude. So we cannot be the Debbie Downers like the rest of everyone else, right? Oh my God, life sucks. The market sucks. Everything sucks. I hate my job. I'm going to go work where? Good luck, right? I mean, it ain't easy. So we've got to really realize the market we're in is the market we're in. So when I was at the summit, I said this and I mean it. I've heard there's going to be a recession. I've decided not to participate. Right? We kind of have to have that attitude. Now, that doesn't mean I'm closing my eyes or just drinking at the bar every day going, it'll be fine. We'll get through this. But what I am saying is we have to work. We have to have a plan. That's number 2. Got to have a plan. What are we doing? What is working? For me, for when I coach my students, it's what's your superpower? What are you really good at? Right? What is something that you just do super well? Let's continue doing that. Right? So we have to have a written, scheduled, step-by-step plan to get through this market, as well as someone to hold us accountable. That can be, or it can be your coach, whoever it is. But we can't just say, you can't work till the end of time and say, well, I'll just outwork this market. That's not going to work. But you can't also just ignore it and say, I'll just appear in a few months. That's not going to work either. So what works for you, what systems you have in place, what relationships you have, let's not ignore them. Right? And understand that anything you implement, anything we talk about doesn't happen immediately. So I think we are also people that are like, I made 4 phone calls. They said make phone calls. No one called me back. I didn't get a lead. This crap just doesn't work. I tried it 4 whole times and I quit. Right? So it's like, no, we're going to have a system. We're going to stick with it. So I think this is the time. Not only do we need to connect and reconnect with VIPs and with relationships, but we also have to think, okay, what systems did I let go by the wayside? What really worked for me, but I got so busy as a lender or realtor that I really stopped doing it. I got lazy on what? So I know this is working with buyers, but I think you all need to think about if you wrote down on a piece of paper in the, in the last couple of years, I really ignored or got lazy at blank. And I will tell you, if you're a lender, a lot of you, it was realtor, huh? Right? Like now it's like realtor, hey, we know you're back, lenders, right? But it was sort of like, yeah, busy. So it's reconnect time. If you're slower now, it's system time. It's what, for realtors, my listing process, my buyer process that we're going to talk about today, we got to dust everything off, right? We got to pay attention to things. So right now, you got to be motivated. Read great books, right? Read Who Moved My Cheese. Read the book Nuts. Read Essentialism. Read things that are going to keep you motivated, but also give you some systems and some plans. So this is what you need to do. But as we get into buyers, now we all know this. We always have known, but leads are gold, 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 gold. Every potential buyer is gold for us. Every seller is gold, right? Leads are down, sales are down. So right now it's not only grasp onto and pay attention to those leads that come in, but make sure that when you get a chance to be in front of them, that your presentation is dialed in and you are engaged and you capture that client, right? I know a lot of people shop, believe me, they're shopping us. They certainly shop you, but we have to really pay attention to our knowledge and our systems right now. So I will tell you, we have to have, when our meetings, when we talk with our buyers and we talk about the market, we have to be super educated, right? And educate our buyers. We have to be that voice of reason. Now, we have to, and I've never done this, and I'm going to assume you haven't either. We are not one size fits all people. Not everyone should be buying a house right now. Not everyone should be selling a house right now. Not everyone should get a loan ever. So the everybody rides kind of mentality is not something that is what we should have as the client's advocate, right? However, we should also not sit with them and go, yeah, man, it does. Yeah, the rates really suck. Wow, they're bad. That's 8%. Holy crap. Are you thinking of buying a house? Or, we cannot scare them or make it worse. And I think, unfortunately, we all are like, oh, about that, but I guarantee you it's happening. I assure you, if I could sit in some realtor meetings and be like, I know, I mean, I just almost just barf when I hear the rates today and I got to write your contract, right? Like, come on. So here's some talking points to me that, now these are national points, but you can also use them locally. But if we're really going to talk about it for buyers right now, so should I buy a house right now, right? Should I buy a house? Should I even buy a house next year? Rates are so bad. Well, let's really look at it. So we got to look at forecasts, economists and forecasts, right? And so the forecasts for 2023 MBA forecasts are that in 2023 nationally, there'll be a 2.8% gain in home prices, okay? And then Zillow says they'll go up 2.4. Goldman Sachs says they'll rise 1.8, right? And then Freddie Mac says up to 4%. So in the next year, or in 2023, the projection is from all the economists that the national market will rise in value between 1.8 and 4%. Okay, so that's not a decline. So when someone says, what should the market do? Now, obviously, this is barring full recession, inflation getting worse, all of the other things we have no control of. But to summarize, if I'm sitting with a home buyer right now and they're saying, should I wait? Should I wait a year? Well, what are rates going to do? We don't know. But really, appreciation is not going to be the 12, 15, whatever it was for the beginning of this year or more, but it's going to slow down. So that's one thing. Then people also get very confused. Historically, a higher mortgage rate does not lead to a price drop. People assume higher mortgage rates mean that the prices have to drop, right? In absence of a recession or an other market influence like we had in 2008, it is likely that prices clearly will decelerate. They've already done that, but not fall, right? So again, if you guys are meeting with clients, realtors and lenders, historical data, and what are we projecting? And then when people say, well, the market will certainly crash, right? The market's definitely going to crash. Well, there are 5 reasons that we probably will not see that happen. Now, again, I say probably not because I can't control the market. But if you think about it, home buyers, lack of inventory, lack of new construction starts, right? A whole bunch of pent-up buyers that got beat out of how many houses because they couldn't pay $150,000 over asking price. Strict lending standards, not like 2008, right? There wasn't the pay option, hope you can breathe mortgage that you can no longer get. And then we don't see a lot of foreclosures. So if you look at the economy as a whole, yes. Are we arguably in a recession? Yes, we are. Are rates really high and freaking people out? Yes. But we have to be able to explain to people, to my sellers and my buyers, factors like this. So we have to be the educated ones sitting with our clients, not feeding them a load of crap about why they should or shouldn't buy. But here's what we're seeing in terms of expected, prices going up. What do rates going to do? I don't know. I've heard anything from in the next 12 to 18 months, we could be back towards 5%. Somebody said 10%. I don't see that happening. You guys probably know that more than me. But we've really got to pay attention to these things. You've got to sit with your clients and counsel them properly and abate fear, but not just in an everybody should mentality. So I just wanted to share some of that with you because we're sitting with clients. We have to be able to tell them, this is what is happening. This is what we're seeing, right? So I think that's a basic. Then right now, if we're talking about buyers, we have to talk about first, where are we finding them? right? Where can we find these buyers? So to me, the question back to you, been considering we're across the nation. So I'm in Virginia, some of you in California, some of you all over the place. So to me, it's like, who needs to move right now? So right now in our market, I'm getting a lot of people with job transfers, right? So I can't make the move, but they're calling because their employer has transferred them. So we're seeing a lot of job transfers, and I'm seeing a lot of grandparents wanting to come closer to their kids, right? So familial moves. And how do I find out about these? Well, I'm in touch with my database and my VIPs, right? So, hey, we stay in touch with them. Our job has transferred us, right? So our database, of course, is the source of who needs to move. But then let's really think about this. So HR directors clearly would be a source, some hiring or someone's transferring. So an HR director is a clear source of someone who would know who needs to move, right? Downsizers, change of life, right? So parents moving, or kids have gone off to college. So I'm in that boat. I don't really want to move at all, but my kids are going off to college and we're like, whoo, don't need this much space or upkeep, right? So changes of life, think about phases of life. Someone having more kids need more space. So if you're really in tune with your database, things like that. Then your referral partners, right? My referral partners know who needs to move. An accountant, right? An attorney, a financial planner, they know their client situations. They have books of business like we do, right? They have these relationships. They know which of their clients needs to move. And I would say homeowners insurance agents, certainly, hello, if they have rental policies and those people aren't renewing them because they need to buy, there's a purchaser. And then of course a homeowner, well, we're not renewing because we're going to buy something else, or we need a quote for something else. Those people need to move. So we need to have relationships with them, right? Boards, groups. So I'm on several boards. That keeps me in front of all kinds of people that know lots of people, right? So they are also in tune and great connectors for me. And then what you all need to be doing as well is, hey, how about those people in the last 2 to 3 years that are on your lead trackers? Hopefully, if you keep track, which I'm hoping you do, right? You have a system for keeping track of leads, all old leads. I can't buy right now because the market's too competitive. Now, we're all going to agree that the market too competitive was at 3% and now we're at 7%. So that's a difference. However, the competition isn't as strong. So making sure that we're in touch with them. And then for realtors, I hate to say this, but open houses, yeah, not fun. Don't like them. I really don't. I do not like them. I see people all week long. I'm like, don't need no more people, but we do. We need people. So an open house is a great opportunity for leads. So when we think about this, you all need to be sitting down, whether you're a lender or realtor, who needs to move, right? Who at this time of year as well needs to move. So in our area, once you come into late October until February, unless you got to move, you're not moving, right? This is just not the time that most people want to move in Virginia, but who needs to move, and I need them to move. So it's really paying attention to those relationships that you either have or need to have people moving, right? So being in touch with that database, understanding your client's life changes, positions, are the parents moving closer, right? And then for us, it's also, who can I refer out? So if someone says, hey, my parents are moving to California, then I can refer them out. So it's really paying attention to those things, right? So we've got to pay attention on the buyer side, who is moving, who needs to move. And also for us, the big push is, if you need to move in the spring, right, you're going to be listing in February, do not call me 2 days before when your house needs a match to be burned down, because there's so much work to do it. Let's start now, right? Let's start preparing your home now for spring. So we are all over the place saying, anyone thinking about moving next year, consult with us now. Let's really understand the market. Let's prep your home, whatever it may be. So getting people lined up, which we have a nice book of business lined up going into spring for those people who aren't ready today, but really want to go in February. So being in touch with those databases and saying, hey, anyone considering a move, for you lenders as well, hey, come in and meet with us if you're thinking of buying. Let's go through where the rates are. Let's go. Do they need to clear anything credit wise? Do they need to save up some more money or do a gift if they can based on their loan? Let's set our year up properly, right? I'm not one that's going to wait till February and go, ooh, cross my fingers, I really hope someone's moving. That is just not how we're going to do it, right? So we got to have the relationships, the being in touch with our database, right? So that's all good. We got to have systems and everything, right? But we also have to have our tracking ready. So when I said earlier, I could go back till 2008. Now those people aren't going to do anything anymore, but I have lead trackers that I could touch like this. They're all leads I've gotten since 2008 from every source, right? So for you guys as well, it's paying attention to what tracking do you have for your leads, right? So if I've had incoming leads, what checklists are they on, or what CRM am I using? Do I need to go back into that? That's a great source of a call list for you to be in touch with, right? So system to keep those leads, but also what happens when someone calls in, right? So if you guys don't have really strong intake processes for buyers right now, this is the time to work on them, not when you're so busy you can't see straight. Now is the time to say, okay, what is my lead intake process when a buyer calls into our office, right? So every one of my team members, there's 5 of us total, everyone is trained on a lead intake. Whoever answers the phone has the form, knows the questions, knows the goal is to set up an appointment, right? So your team needs to have that. If it's just you, then it's you. Do you ask the same questions every time? Do you intake that client the same way every time? Right? So our ultimate goal is for every single buyer that we get to talk to have an in-office interview, every one of them. That's the goal. And I will tell you, if we don't meet them in some way, I will not show them a house. I am a woman. I am not going out meeting some random stranger that I have no information for. Not going to happen. If someone else will do it, that's fine. Not me. So we want an in-the-office consultation in the very least, right, before we take them out. And that's just smart to me business. I'm also not going to waste my time or gas if they aren't willing to have a meeting with us. If they won't at least meet with us, they're not going to commit to working with us. I'm not interested, right? So we need to think about what that goal is. How do we get them there, right? So let's talk about some processes. So for us, I'll give you a buyer intake process that lenders, I would say you should use as well, but I think all realtors should use. So if you want to teach your realtors how to, I think in a professional way that keeps you and stands out from any other realtors, how to we set up a purchaser. Very simple. By the way, I have all these notes. So if you guys are furious writers, I tend to write everything down. I'm more than happy to just send to Jimmy and Jonas and everyone my notes, and you guys can just have them, because that way you're not like, what'd she say? Because I do talk a little fast. I'm a high D. So setting up the process. So of course they call in or they email in, however that is. Yes, I will get you notes. They call in, the appointment is set. So the questionnaire happens. So the appointment is set. I'll share the questionnaire too. I'll just share it all. I'll give it all to you. You just send me all your clients. I'm in Charlottesville, Virginia. You're welcome. Okay. So we are going to talk to them. We are going to confirm a meeting. We are going to hang up the phone or the email, right? We're going to send the email. Yes, we'll see you Monday at 2:00. Okay. Immediately a confirmation email is sent, right? Including a copy of a buyer's agency agreement. We have a copy of a guide to buying your home and definite directions to our office, right? I am one of those, my weird thing is parking. I want to know where I'm going to park. I don't know what it is. I can't tell you. It's not like I've ever had a parking problem, but I'm very visual. So I like to know, okay, here's where I park. Okay, so they get this email. 48 hours before the buyer consultation, they get a video of me and my videos. Karen, can't wait to meet you. Here's what you should expect at our meeting, right? That they need to have their pre-approval letter set. We will not have a meeting without a pre-approval. That first email would have also included our favorite lenders info for them to connect with if they don't have a lender. But they get the video of here's what our office looks like. Expect to meet for about an hour and a half is fine. I'll take all the time they need. Bring your pre-approval letter, any questions you have for me. Someone did just ask what happens if you're virtual, same thing. So basically I'm a Zoom meeting with you. Of course, I don't have to send you directions unless here's the Zoom link, right? If I have to send you directions for Zoom, this might be a tough meeting, but if it's a virtual meeting, then still I need your pre-approval letter. Here is the Zoom link. Here's what to expect from our meeting, right? So I still want copies of that scanned to me if it's not in person. 24 hours before the meeting, they get a call. That phone call is just wanted to confirm that this meeting at Monday at 2:00 still works with Marjorie, that you'll both be there. And by the way, have you spoken to the lender and set up your pre-approval? If they say no, we will often push the meeting. Right? Here's why. I can't consult you. I can't help you if I don't know that you're actually qualified first. And then what am I talking to you about if I don't know your price point, if I don't know what kind of loan, if I don't know if I should ask about closing costs, if I don't know any of that, then it's a very theoretical meeting. Plus, to me, if you didn't take the step to speak to the lender, you're not ready. You're not a committed buyer. I'm looking for committed buyers. So just so we know, and this sounds kind of mean, but I am a high D. I have some I too, so I'm not just a D, but my way. We're going to do this my way. So we're going to meet and we're going to consult and you're going to be ready, right? So if they're not ready, then I'm having kind of an unprepared meeting. So we'll tell them, I'm really sorry, either I need you to do that or we can reschedule for Tuesday, right? We need to have that information, have a consultation with you. So I think that's key. I think that having a meeting and not knowing, look, they need to do FHA 3%. No, they can't buy a $700,000 house. They always assume all of these things that aren't correct. I need to be able to guide them, right? So there's a process. We've had a great conversation, asked a lot of questions, given them information, sent them a video, had a confirmation call. So I can't see all you guys because there's a lot of you and all I see is a bunch of screens, but how do you think every realtor does that, right? Is that the process every realtor gets before they meet with the realtor team? So probably not, right? Usually it's see you at 2, bye-bye, right? So let's be professional up front and stand out. And you guys too. Now, again, as lenders, you have virtual meetings, you have in-person meetings, whatever it is. How can you stand out? Here's questions. Here's documents we want you to bring. Here's this, 10 steps of things that we want you to have prepared. I think the more prepared they are, here's questions commonly asked, or, false facts about getting a loan. Like, give me information that proves that you are my person and you're helping me before I even get there. Right. I think that's really valuable and sets you apart from the rate jockeys. How much your rate? What's your rate? What's your rate? Right. So let's make you not a commodity as much as we can, just like us. So, okay. Now see what happens when you're virtual. I answered. Met leads, we give them one tour. Yep. And again, for buyers. So I will say, if you can't get them in the office, so one person was saying, they get one tour or one house visit, and then they have to see a lender. Look, you have to do what you're able to do. I would say 98% of the time we get them in the office. There's always that one-off, right? That says, hey, can we meet with you first and then consults? I will take someone with me if I don't know them. I will take my brother or another team member, just because if I don't know someone, I'm not super comfortable. But then we are right there saying, here's the next step. This is how we work. We are buyer's agents. We work exclusively with you. If you're not ready to be exclusive, then we may not be a good match. So we're really not going to waste any time. But if you have to do it, then you've got to make that decision, but then they have to commit quickly. So then I want you to think about, we've set them up. They come into the office. Now, as I say, come into the office, just let's also just say virtually, whether they're sitting in front of you or on Zoom with you. I think these are the same rules now, except for if you come into our office, we want to give you a tour. I want to introduce you to the team. I want to give you a drink menu of what drinks or snacks you might want. I also want you to know where the bathroom is. Because quite frankly, have you ever sat through a meeting and the whole time you're like, I really have to pee? I do not want them thinking that the whole time while I'm trying to have a conversation with them. If you're on Zoom, they can pee at home. So that you don't need to worry about all those things, right? But we want them to be situated and settled, okay? But let's think about how this meeting should go. So some hints. If they were a referred client, so anyone that came from a referral source, database, VIP, or anything, right away, the first thing is we want to honor that referral source. And we want to triangle trust the referral source, meaning how do they know them? So we're so excited that Stacy referred you to us. She's one of our favorite clients. How do you guys know each other? Right? What did Stacy say about us? Like already, if we can already know that they're comfortable, especially if they're interviewing, then we're going to triangle in that referral source and say how much we loved working with her. And we're so excited to work with them because we know that if they're friends and we got along that well, that this is going to be a great experience, right? So we want to make sure we honor that referral source. And then I always start with, what questions do you have for me? I know you have questions, especially if you're interviewing agents. What questions do you have for me? So think about things during this meeting, like the whole point is building rapport, the whole point. So quite honestly, to me, if they get on there on Zoom or in front of me and say, I just want to know your rate, the rate's really irrelevant if I don't know what you're looking for. Build rapport, ask questions, right? People buy from people they like and trust. So less about you, right? And your FHA and VA and blah, blah, blah. And realtors, you're fantastic and you're great. And you sell a lot of houses and you're top 1%. Who cares? They don't know you yet, right? So questions about them, right? So questions on things like their time frame. When do they have to buy or move? Do they have to buy or move? What is a full needs analysis, right? Needs analysis. When do you need to be there? Why is this important to you? So we talk about the 3 whys. Why? because quite frankly, I don't even want to get into the specifics. I want to know, do they need to be in a certain school district for a child? Is this child dependent? Is it space dependent? Do they have pets we need to think about? I want to know all about those things first, right? I also want to be clear, do they want to buy now? Is to say I might buy 1 year, I want to buy now, we buy, what's their time frame, what's their urgency, what's their expectation? Lots of open-ended questions we want to start with. Why? What do they need? Then I also want to ask them, what's your biggest fear about buying a house right now? Right? What's your biggest fear about buying a house right now? Because they have fears, they've heard something, they've had a bad experience. So I want to know that. I want to manage fears. I want them to be clear on what to expect, but I want to manage their fears. So that's a question we should always ask. Biggest fear, buying a home in general, but especially right now with the news, with the rates, what's your biggest fear? Because I want to be clear on what they're concerned about. Now I will tell you as a realtor, this is less for you lenders, but help your realtors, because holy crap, I will tell you time management of realtors is awful. So I'm going to start taking control of showings now. Right? I don't want to show houses at 9 p.m. all weekend long, all of that. So I really we are not Pop-Tart realtors. You guys know what that is? You want to see a house? Got to go, right? Oh, they called. I got to go now. Do you? So really it's not, the question is not, when do you want to see houses? Ever. What is your schedule? So do you work 9 to 5 or what's your schedule? Tell me about your flexibility. Because I will tell you, you assume it has to be weekends and evenings. I show houses in the mornings and at lunchtime, or they get off at 2 o'clock, or they can be really flexible just with notice. So especially on the realtor end, we got to go at 6 o'clock every day. Awesome. 6 o'clock every day. That sounds freaking fantastic. 7 days a week, 6 o'clock. I cannot wait to show you a house. That's awesome. Does that sound good to you guys? No. So we can go at lunch. We can go at 8:30. Sometimes, yes, we have to go at 6, but we want to be really clear on schedule. Right? Flexibility. And by the way, do they both have to be there? Because am I going to show one of you at 6 p.m., but then I have to go the next day for the other one, or only one can go here? Who's the decision maker? So we have to be really clear on that with our clients, especially on the realtor end. Then we spend a lot of time on needs versus wants. And I think the lenders can do this as well. Needs versus wants. I need hardwood floors. Do you? Do you need hardwood floors? I want hardwood floors, right? So needs versus wants, and then make them stick to their needs. Meaning I need a 4-bedroom home. You need it to be 4 bedrooms? Yes. They all have to be bedrooms? Yes. One of them can't be a flex room? No. Has to be 4 bedrooms? Yes. You won't buy a house without 4 bedrooms? Yes. Awesome. We're setting you up on a search with 4 bedrooms. Then when they call you with a 3-bedroom house, I say no. No. It needs to have a garage. You want a garage or it needs a garage? It needs a garage. You won't see a house without a garage? No. Cool. That house doesn't have a garage. No. Right? Because this is how we also waste, unless we're going to adjust. Now, are we okay with no garage? I'll adjust your search parameters. No. So I think it's being super clear on needs versus wants, asking a lot of questions. You need a garage. Why? Well, we need storage. Well, that could be a basement. Okay, well, basement would work. We need a garage. Why? We have 2 cars. They can't be in the elements. So it's a need. We're not changing that. So I think we can stop wasting a lot of our time by not asking a lot of those questions and not being afraid to push back nicely. Like, I don't scream at them. Like, hell no, I will not show you that house. That is not what I do, but I'm very clear on the no's, right? I think this is a time to go over team structure, how our team works, who does what, the benefits of our team. That's the same for you guys. So I am the listing agent, right? So I'm Marjorie, I'm the listing agent. I do anything communication with the other agent. I'm the one that negotiates and prices. Those are my jobs, right? Jacques, Bethany, Taylor can show homes. Jacques attends inspections. He's a licensed home inspector, not for our clients, right? Who does what, how, when? What's the expectation of who they're going to be working with and the benefit to them? Not the benefit to me, the benefit to them. So same with you guys. Are they going to be talking to your loan partner? Are they going to be who are they going to be talking to and why? In the process, doesn't matter if you're a realtor or a lender. I think another thing is current market. We talked about it earlier. Here's what the current market is. And this is really key for realtors, especially earlier this year, but now too. So a buyer would come in and sit down and say, well, I'm not paying full price. Well, that's funny. That's okay. You're right. You aren't paying full price. You are going to pay 100,000 over asking. How's that sound? So it's all, no, we'll never pay full price. This is not the market for you. We will never waive an inspection. Okay, we got 2 problems now. So it's, look, every offer we are getting is X% over asking. We've only gotten 1 contract in a year and a half with a home inspection. We won't buy a house without home inspection. Well, this might not be the market for you. So I think you guys have to be super clear on what's the market bringing, what's the expectation, are they willing to work in those parameters, can they make a quick decision, right? So if we've got 15 offers by Monday, is this a market you can operate in? Because if it's not, I can't change the market. So I need to be super clear on, here's what it's going to take for you to buy right now. And it's okay to say to someone, it's not going to work for you now. I have someone for 2 years. They finally just bought, they're closing next week. It took 2 years until the market cooperated that they could make the purchase work based on their means, right? So that wasn't anything any of us can do, right? So is it the market for them? Are they clear on what it takes, right? That is super important. And then you need to commit them to working with you, because it's great to do all of this and have your presentation and really connect with them. And then no one, you don't close them. You're like, gosh, I hope you pick me. Bye. Maybe call me back. Toodaloo. Like, no. So I think we have to really figure out, how are we closing? So for me, I will tell you, I'm a very assumptive style closer if I'm interviewing. When we start working together, when you sign the buyer agency agreement, when we do the home inspection. So I assumptive close. If they say, well, we're not ready to commit, I go to, why would you not work with us? What have we not said that would, something that we need to discuss, right? Working with them. And then there's a benefits close. So benefits close is all the benefits. So when working with us, you have me as someone who's been a realtor for 27 years. You have Brittany, who is a full-time concierge for contract to close. You have my brother, who is a licensed home inspector, who will not be acting that way, but knows homes better than any other realtor. You have Brittany as well. We have ultimate schedule flexibility. There's always going to be someone available for you, a benefits close, right? And then if you're not interviewing, if it's just obviously with the client, then you're going to follow up once they've picked you. You're of course going to follow up with a thank you note, little gift, and a video, right? So all of this process for the appointment is scripted. Right now, I don't mean like I'm like, hello, page 2. What I mean is it's the process. It's basically a Groundhog Day process, meaning how we sit down, how I say, let's talk about your questions first, how I talk about needs versus wants, how I talk about team structure, right? All of those things are a set process that deviate depending on, hey, no, we want to work with you. Definitely. We love you. Our sister said to work with you. Can we talk about the house? Sure. We'll go right into needs and wants. But you really have to have kind of all of those things together as a realtor, I think, to really have a buyer decide that they want to commit working with you. And I think it's taking the time as well, because I'll spend, if it takes me an hour, great. If it takes me 2 hours, I will absolutely meet for 2 hours to answer questions. Because frankly, if you think about it, that's the kind of commit to working with, here's how we work together, here's the expectations, this is our process, this is how it's going to work. That's probably the most time sitting at one time they will have, right, with me. They will show them a house, we'll write a contract, but as you know, in this market, that tends to go pretty quickly. So take that time to connect with that client. There's no doubt that that's key. So does anyone have any questions about either intaking or a buyer appointment that I've gone over so far? Because I want to make sure I do stop if someone hasn't written into the chat box. I know everyone wants notes and you will get them. But any questions or struggles anyone's having with either you think the client interview process or where you're finding buyers, anything like that? I'll wait for a second so people can type. Don't be scared.
Do you want us to type these or can we ask them, Marjorie?
Well, you're speaking now, so ask.
I liked your idea of putting the buyer's agency agreement in that initial email. What are your thoughts on just sending it straight to them like via DocuSign? You know, just put it in there, let them know this is what you're signing. Have you had better success doing it that way?
So I will tell you, we put it in like for them to read it because I am someone that I need to get, I'm a feeler, right? So there's thinker, knower, feeler. When I meet with someone, I know pretty quickly, oh, I connect with them. I trust them. I feel good about it. I'll sign it. I don't think I'd ever sign it just off. So for me in DocuSign, as you know, you push start and then it kind of clicks down and I got to try to read it. We always read it. I tell them I will review it with them and discuss any questions at the appointment. And then they often will just sign sitting right there with us. So I will tell you that I don't have them pre-sign it because I feel like before they've met me, you know, a lot of people are like, what is this? What do I owe you? Even though it says it in there, they don't really understand the agreement. Plus we don't do dual agency here at our firm. So there's a lot of it that doesn't apply. So the buyers will sign something. We send it to them first. We go over it at the meeting and then they will sign it. It has to be in writing for our state. So then I have questions here. Do I have a buyer broker contract? Yes, we do at least 6 months. And for any area they're searching in, I only do residential. So they do sign this agreement. Ooh, when do you decide to break up with a client? That's a great question. So I will tell you, for me, breaking up with a client, it's a stressful process for them. So it's rarely because they're stressful, but if I can't get them to operate within the limits of the market, meaning if I've had this conversation with them and they say, oh, yeah, we can make this work, but yet every time we go to write an offer, let's try 50,000 less, let's add, I know they won't take an inspection, but if they're still fighting me on it, I will often say, maybe this is not the time for you, let's hold. Sometimes we don't necessarily break up, but we push. I have had clients that just straight out don't listen to me or will not abide with our process. We need to do this now. You need to do this now. Nope, we're going to do it this way. It's like, this is not how the market works. I have to make appointments this way. Nope, I want to get in at noon. I can't get you in at noon. Then I definitely say that I can't help you. Like, you hired me as the professional, sort of whatever you do, you are the professional. I don't go to the doctor and say, here's how you're going to do my surgery. Right. So if I cannot have them work within our parameters, or we did have one person that was super rude to Bethany and I fired him like on the spot. They were rude again. And I said, this is not how we work. See ya. So I will not tolerate anyone being rude to my team members. You can be mean to me because I'll be mean back, but you will not be mean to one of my team members more than once, I assure you. Contract to close concierge. Yes, it's a transaction coordinator, but I think we have to think about how we talk to the public. Like, if I'm like, my transaction coordinator, right? That sounds just sort of like, oh, but my contract to close concierge is sort of like your guide to closing, which is what they are. So I always call them, and I never call anyone my assistant. They're my partner. So Bethany is my listing partner or my showing partner. And then I have my client concierge, right? Because I really feel like anytime you say assistant, they feel like you're passing them, but when they're a partner, it's an equal. Now, whether it's truly an equal per your team structure is irrelevant. It's how the client sees it, right? So to me, transaction coordinator sounds like a very paper pushing, stamp something hidden person, like for processors. I think of processors as people you don't feed often that sit in a dark room, right? And they get a desk with a lot of files and their job is to say no to people, right? So the visual of a transaction coordinator is sort of like that, right? So to me, that's how we do that. How do we speak to buyers and convince them it's not 2008? Yeah. And sellers, it's not 2020. Isn't this fun? Yeah, this is the funnest part of the job. So I think with buyers, it's show, don't tell, right? So if you guys remember anything from today as well, is show, don't tell. So I can tell them all day long, like a seller, we're putting a house on the market now. Of course, in August, it was 550. Now it's really 519. And the problem is I can tell him that all day long, but when I can show him that the same floor plan of his house that's literally the same is now 519, has been on the market 133 days and started at 575, I can visually demonstrate. So with buyers, it's the same thing. So when I tell them, look, you have to pay this much over asking, I pull the solds up, right? What is sold in the last 3 to 4 months and say, well, it was listed for 450, it sold for 525, it was listed for 500, it sold for 600. Notice it's cash, right? Notice no inspection concessions. So I think we have to demonstrate to them what is happening right now. So for sellers, it's going to be a while. That's the hard part. My sister sold for 100,000 for over asking and didn't paint. And it's like, yep, that was then, this is now. So I really also think is you've got to be showing them, hey, in March, when the interest rate was 3%, you could buy this $825,000 house for $2,750 a month. And now you can buy a $550,000 house. Right. So it's like, purchase power has gone down, we've got to be able to really show. So market stats, sold stats, absorption rates, whatever it is that we need to be showing them, that it's not because Marjorie said so, right? Because now it's your neighbor that got this versus you can't get them what they want, right? So I think that's the clarity, is we have to be in today's market, right? And not, hey, February. So we got to stop using those. We've got to really be more 60 days to now stats and what's still on the market. And some of them just won't believe you. So quite honestly, some sellers right now, it's just a fight that I have. So I said, great, here is my analysis. Here's my price. I put it in an email so they can't conveniently forget. This is what I told you to list for. Here's the market. Here's the dollar per square foot. Here's the absorption rate. We can go with your price. We will go with your price for 3 weeks. We will write in the agreement that this is your price. And that if 3 weeks go by or we don't get any showings, we go to my price. So when they say you said, I say, right? So it's also making sure we're clear on our advice to them, give them permission to screw up, although I don't like that. It's like with a buyer. Sure, you can not go in it. You can ask for an inspection. Oh, you lost because of the inspection. Who'd have guessed, right? Like sometimes they have to learn. With being on boards, how do you get these people to refer to you specifically? Relationship, right? So I'm on several boards. I'm on a children's hospital board. I'm on a Piedmont housing board. And really it is first access to people like the mayor that I got some purple hair hiding here and an armful of tattoos. Me and the mayor aren't usually hanging out. So I have access to people like this that I can get to know and I can get to communicate with and go to lunch with and strategize. And then we can really get to know each other personally, right? And through a personal relationship, then often I don't go, oh, I hope you refer me, ever. I have never, ever, ever to any of my board members, but tell me about the market. Well, this is what the rates are doing right now. And then they'll consult with you. Should I refi right now? Or should my kid buy a house? So we become kind of their consultant. And then I sold the guy's dad a house, right? I mean, it becomes more, she knows what she's doing. I feel comfortable with her, right? And then I can demonstrate that I have that expertise. On the boards, a lot of time they do, any real estate questions come to me. So it's a way to really showcase what I do, but also who I am, which I think is really why people work with us, frankly. We're good at what we do, but they connect with you personally. So I think it's really not just going to the meeting, but saying, I'd love to catch up with you. I'd love to learn more about you. I'd love to strategize on this committee, how we can do more to get more work done for the board. Because a lot of board meetings are just blah, 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 blah. Nothing gets done. So let's get something done. But that works well for me. Ooh, how do you manage buyers wanting to use lenders you don't love? Ooh. That's a lender question, isn't it? Thanks, guys. Okay. I will be very frank. I'm very directive in my process. I like people to use who I like. If it's a lender I don't love, I might not like them personally. I might not have a connection with them, but they get the job done and they're connected to them. I often won't sway, meaning I won't try to push them. If it's a lender I've worked with who has really messed something up for me, or I just has lied to me or have had a bad experience with, I outright tell them. I will say, you have the right to use anyone you want. It works really well with us when you follow our process, which means our inspectors, our lenders, our recommended, attorneys. I will let you know I've had a really bad experience with them. If you choose to move forward with them, I need to let you know that. Again, lenders I don't love, if it's personality wise, is very different than someone who really, really messed something up, or I know something about them that is not okay with me and how they do business. But look, it's the flip side. I guarantee if we could pull all the lenders right now, call me crazy, but you might have some realtors you don't like, right? No, that can't happen. Realtors are freaking fantastic. There could never be a realtor you don't like. Sure. I mean, we're all great. It's the same thing. I think if you just say, gosh, they're a little brusque, or I don't really like them, or they're not really my kind of person, but they get the job done, okay. But if you know that they're just inept or unethical or something, I think it's when you say, I have had a bad experience, right? I cannot wholeheartedly recommend this person, but ultimately it becomes your choice. I am very vocal in that way. If they choose to move forward and something doesn't go well, I've warned them. As you know, I can't make them do something different, but I have no problem saying, there's like an attorney here that I'm like, sorry, me or them, they're that bad. I won't work with them. So I think it's your job to say, I have had a bad experience, or I have an issue, but it's your choice, right? Because then I vocalized it if something goes wrong. Okay, someone says, how do you go about asking a buyer for their address for note and gift after initial meeting? Thank you for asking this question, because I didn't say this earlier. So you all need to have an all about you form. Write that down. All about you form. Yes, I'll share mine. Jimmy has one. I'm sure Jonas has one. I know Robin has one. We can get them if you're not using them. But when they come in and I'm doing the wants and needs consultation, that's part of that wants and needs form. First, I need their address now because I'm going to be communicating with them. So their current address, their phone number, their preferred method of contact, their pets. We'll send you one so you don't have to write all this down. But it also, if I do want to send them a gift, I can do that because I know like their favorite restaurant, where do they get coffee? Do they like chocolate? If they don't, I don't know how I could work with them because cray if you don't like chocolate, but I can get all of those favorite things from them. And that's part of that all about you form. And so that goes right in their file. Think about this as well. We want to buy a house. So I have 4 dogs now. One passed away a couple of weeks ago, but we had 5. I have 5 dogs. No, I'm not crazy. I might be a little crazy, but can I have a condo with no yard? No, I can't. Right. So my pets are very important to me. I need space. I need land. So that would start. Do you need a fenced in yard? Hey, I have great dog walkers. Do you need help with that? Like I can start connecting with them. If they have 2 kids, and one plays soccer, well, then we need to see where the soccer fields. Do we have to be a certain distance from there? That all about you form really helps you with connecting with them. And then I have address, phone number, email address, right? All of those things, birth dates, all of that information. Gifts after initial meeting. I don't do a lot of gifting after initial meeting. I do a thank you note after initial meeting. We tend to gift more at when they find a house. After the home inspection, we do a pre-walkthrough gift bag and then a closing gift. So I'm not a big just met you gift person because sometimes I feel like people are like, well, that's kind of weird. Versus when a big rock things happens in their transaction, find a house, home inspection, right? All of those times where I think that we tend to celebrate with them more. I think if you did a gift to me from that list, I would do maybe coffee to their favorite place or something like that. I don't think I'd go too big gift up first. We also, of course, gift when we get a referral. So that referring person would have gotten a gift immediately upon receiving this person's name. So I think that's pretty important. Yes, you will get the form. Do I have any more guerrilla tactics? Ooh, guerrilla tactics, like using HR. You mean for finding buyers? Let's see. I will tell you, for me, big sources of business. One that I didn't talk about is my property manager. Love her as a realtor. Continued source of cross referring back and forth. So I end up with people that need to sell their properties. I also end up with renters who actually decide they want to purchase. So I will tell you, if you guys don't have a great relationship with property managers, I actually thought it would be really cool to form like a great group with a property manager, me, an attorney, an accountant, and a financial planner, and really kind of form this like investor club. So if whenever my investors reach out and say, hey, we want to buy investment properties or sell them, I have this great group of people that can advise them properly. Hey, based on their financial status, this would be great. Lenders saying, hey, if they want to buy 2 more, this is a great loan for them. So I really feel like that would be a great symbiotic fun group. To learn more and be able to teach on investors. So I think that kind of group would be a guerrilla tactic to be able to pick up more people too. At what point in the process do you start asking for referrals? You guys are fantastic. So that is also part of the initial meeting. So here's what I will tell you. It's very easy to do that when they were referred in because they are here because of a referral. So we do talk about how we work by referral. And if and when our team does a fantastic job for them, we are going to be asking them for a referral. And I talk a lot about a reticular activator. So I don't know if you guys know what a reticular activator is, but a reticular activator, I'll give you a great example. I was just in Arizona. I'm not a car person, so if you ask me specifics, I can't help you. But we rented a Ford Bronco, right? The new Ford 2022 Bronco that has like the top that comes up, and because we were in Arizona, 5 women, it was a great trip. But I don't know damn thing about a Ford Bronco, but guess what? So I knew I was renting it. Reticular activator is the portion of your brain that when you start focusing on something, you start noticing them. And guess what I see everywhere now that I've never noticed before in my life is Ford Broncos, right? I'm like, ooh, there's a 4-door. That one's a 2-door, as if I know what I'm talking about. But because I focused and paid attention to it, now I see them. I saw one like an hour ago. So your reticular activator, when you meet with a client, I say to them, so Fred or whatever, do you know what your reticular activator is? What it is now that we have met and we're sitting here and you and your wife are talking about purchasing a home, all of a sudden it's going to be all you hear. You're going to see articles, you're going to see it on TV, you're going to hear your coworkers talking about it. You're going to be sitting someone in a restaurant and they're going to be talking about buying a house. And all I ask is that when you hear people talking about buying a home or your friends start talking about it, ask them if they have a realtor they're working with, because we would love an opportunity to work with them, right? And how you refer them to me, quite honestly, the best way to do that is just start a quick text group and say, hey, Marjorie, this is Sarah. Sarah needs to buy a home, and then I'll take it from there. I just find if you just say you pass their name along, I don't usually end up in front of them, but if I can connect with them, then most of the time we end up working together. So we're going to take great care of you. And during that process, if you hear people they need to buy or sell, we're going to ask that you send them our way, right? So that's kind of my way of bringing that up. And if you do it at the first meeting, then when they say, great pictures, you guys are fantastic, you take such great care of us, wow, you showed up so quickly, whatever, we can say, remember, anyone else who's looking to buy or sell, send them our way, right? You can constantly acknowledge instead of just saying thank you, which I'm really good at too, right? I'm very good at being like, gosh, we are great, thanks so much, talk to you tomorrow. Whoopsie, forgot to ask for the referral. So okay, so someone said property manager, attorney, and who? Accountant, lender. Yes, property manager, realtor, accountant, financial planner, lender. I think is a fantastic kind of investment group, because all the things that I don't know, like, oh, 1031, should they do this? Or I can refer them directly to that person. Because should everyone buy 2 rental properties? Sure. But like, do they have to take money out of somewhere? What kind of loan should they get? Is it the right place to invest, right? What's the monthly rent? Those are all those questions that I may not know all the answers to. So let's see. Wow, these are good questions. This is fun. How do you approach a buyer that keeps looking and not making a decision after when you were providing them properties that meet their expectations? Do you charge a retainer fee? I should. Let's all start that. Please don't leave this call saying now we all charge retainer fees. But yeah, keeps looking, not making a decision is, I think we got to go back to our wants and needs and urgency, right? The people, the worst, and I say this lovingly, but the worst clients in the world are the sellers you meet with, and they kind of put their arms up and they're like, we don't need to sell their home. Oh, well, I don't need to list it. So we're in the same boat, babe. It's same with buyers. Well, you know what? We don't need to buy a home. Well, then here's the thing. Then I think you also need to qualify them and say, listen, right now in this market, we're really focusing on our A purchasers. Do you know what an A buyer is? An A buyer is someone that really has to move right now, is really motivated and needs to work within the framework of this market. If you don't have to purchase right now, that probably, and not to be rude, makes you more of a B or C buyer, meaning if the sun, moon, and stars align that you need to purchase a home. So you know what? I'm going to keep you on auto email, but we're not just going to jump out and see all these homes that you need, because you've basically already told me you're not ready to commit right now. So what that means is I'm going to feed you the info. You can drive by it. If you guys really decide that, you know what, offers are due by Friday, so that Friday morning we're going to sit down and write an offer. If it's that kind of house, we're going to go. But otherwise, we're not going to go at this time, because it's frankly a waste of your time. I do not care about their time, not to be mean, but it's a waste of my time. So it's really, I don't want to waste your time if you're not ready in this market, really saying, I don't. If they keep doing it, then you've got to keep having that conversation, or you've got to decide, right? And a retainer might be the idea, or you might just not be the right agent for them, right? So to me, maybe you refer them to someone who just likes looking at houses, right? Because it's so fun, right? I became a realtor because I love looking at them. Yeah. When should a solo agent use a showing agent or hire a buyer's agent? Thank you for, you guys are this is fun. So, okay, here's the deal. Here's what happened somehow in the real estate market. At some point, I think someone told realtors that working with buyers was unnecessary. I don't know when this happened, but it was sort of like, I am a listing agent. Okay, but you don't have any listings, right? Like and I coach them. Well, I just give my buyers away. Well, what are you doing? Because you have no listings. So until you literally become a listing agent where the listings are pouring out of your mouth and you cannot handle it, you work with both And when the market changes, you work with both. You can't just give your buyers away. So here's the answer to that question. If you are a solo agent, so, and I was for years, I do remember. So a solo agent, I think up to 30 transactions, you're going to work a lot. You can be a solo agent. If you have buyers flooding out of your ears and you can't manage them and you can't show them, you have too many leads that you don't want to just give away for 50%, which is stupid. Don't ever do that. That's the worst model ever. Again, I don't know who came up with that, but that's dumb. Hey, this client I've worked really hard for, I want to give them away to you and just keep 50%. Don't do that. So the showing agent is, I am spending way too much time in the car showing houses and inspections and at closings, and I cannot manage my listings right now because all I do is show houses. Then it's time for a showing agent. But because you had to put one buyer in the car and it was super annoying and you didn't like it, no, right? Because we all need to make money. And what's happened in this industry is everyone decided buyers were bad and their buyer's agents are making all kinds of money and they weren't making any money. That's ridiculous. So you hire a showing agent, I prefer, that's salaried, a little scary, but you can do it, or you figure out how you're going to do it when you have too many leads, period, right? If you're at the point where I just cannot handle this, that's a showing agent. It is not just because you didn't feel like it. And I'm not trying to be mean to whoever asked this question, but it's the biggest thing I'm finding that has crushed people's ability to be more profitable is that they hired a bunch of buyer's agents and then they didn't work with any buyers. And now guess what? What's happened? Listings are harder to come by. And then their buyer's agents and now they can't tell their buyer's agents, well, they're not for you anymore. It's like, oof. So don't give away all the buyers. Showing agent better. And we can talk about that more another time if you need to. Can you go over the CRM you use? I use something called Wise Agent. Now, here's what I will tell you in my team. They don't let me in there. I don't get to touch it because I'm like, ooh, that's fun. And then I squirrel into it. So we use Wise Agent, my Wise Agent. It's like $29 a month. It enables us to create any list we could ever want. We're big on birthday lists and who attended this, what mailing did this people get. It's super easy, but they don't let me do it because I'm sure I would either spend too much time in there or I would mess it up, but it's very easy to maintain. It's very easy to use. So Wise Agent is what we decided to work with. You guys are fantastic. Okay. I'll just go over one more thing and then I think we're done, but I wanted to make sure you knew, being prepared for showings is another one. So when you have to show the houses, so I do laugh as well. Like there's not a lot of preparation. I feel like before a house is shown. It's like I'll get in the car and just GPS will take me there. So to me, it's like being prepared for an appointment is also super important, like stupid things like know where you're going. We always like to have what we call the client MLS sheet for the clients. It has the basics without any seller information, which we're not supposed to share. I appreciate they have a phone, but I don't know about you guys. If you're like, okay, it says here that it has how many bedrooms, that's super annoying. So we print client information sheets, especially if they're from out of town. And then I run comps. If I don't know the neighborhood super well, I do a pre-comp just because when they know more about the neighborhood than you do, you look a little dumb, right? When they're like, oh, the house next door sold. And you're like, that's nice. Yay, that makes you super competent. But things like, if you're back to putting buyers in cars, we're not yet. It's actually like the only good thing to come out of the pandemic was like you can jam down to the 80s and no one's in your car because they have to follow you. But if you're putting someone in your car, make it clean, put gas in it. A good tip is if you're taking clients out, we always ask them drinks. We have little coolers in the car. We ask them their favorite drinks and their favorite snacks. We always have their favorite drinks and snacks in the car, right? Then we find out, like, is there certain music they like? And then if they have kids, I'll have either a little, like a portable iPad that we can play movies for them or games that they can play in the car. So who are you taking? What do they like? How can we make this experience better? Right? And then just a couple tips for home showing for someone who's done it for 27 years. One, I give them permission to hate the house and I give them permission to love the house. So the reason I do that is they sometimes, nothing worse than spending an hour in a house and you walk out and they're like, I hated it. It's like, what the heck? We could have left 58 minutes ago. So if you hate the house, let's go. If you love the house, great. You can love the first house. You can love the 10th house. I would love it if you love the first house, but give them this permission to be honest with you and love and hate, because I don't want to go to 25 houses and not be sure, right? So to me, we do that. Then after the showing, we ask them 3 things they like about it, 3 things they don't like. I ask them to rate them in terms of any houses we've seen. If we go to 3 that day, then we rate them. And then I ask them to name the house. So the best part about naming the house is if they call it the stinky house, they're not buying it, right? The stink house is not getting purchased. So if they name the house, it also tells you. Now, a lot of times I will also ask them, what would you pay for this? Especially in this market, it's $550. What would you pay for it? Well, I wouldn't pay $550. Well, let's move on, right? I would pay what I need to get this house. Okay, let's have a conversation, right? Lots of whys we talked about. I also mentioned as a woman alone, if I don't know the clients, I take someone with them. If they are from out of town and you know from the All About You form that their kids love soccer or whatever, I drive them past, right? Here's the soccer fields, here's the Whole Foods, right? Here's the city market. I want to make sure I'm acquainting them with town as well as I'm showing them. So more conversation, more deep questions, more permission to be honest really makes the process quicker as well for those people that keep showing 1,000 houses. And then the last thing I definitely wanted to go over with you guys is the key in staying in touch with these buyers as the market has changed. So some simple tips. If you do seller check-ins, if you're doing your seller update calls, you've got to do buyer update calls. So bi-weekly, start with that because not everyone will do it weekly. Every other week, how are you doing? You're still getting the listings. Any questions, right? Make sure they're on auto email. We send them, we add them already to all of our letters from the heart and EOS and videos. We add them to our happy hours. Nothing better than having a happy hour with a past client and a current client. And the past client says how much they love you. The current client stays more engaged with you. And then I'm sure you lenders will appreciate this, although less fun for you. If you have a client you've been working with since March and they haven't gone back to the lender, you better do that because they're in for a not happy awakening. So we have our clients that are buyers in the car checking with our lenders, our preferred lender all the time. And actually we ask, for any tips that the lenders have that we can send them along too. So we want to engage them in the process as well. So think about the communication and the education that has had to happen since February till now, right? So you've got to think about, have I kept them in touch? Have I been in front of the lender? Am I making sure that they've adjusted properly to changes in what they can afford? Am I making sure that I'm staying in touch with them so they know, hey, if there's no inventory coming on the next 3 months, that you know what, it's going to be slower during the holidays. Right after January 1, we're going to meet back in my office and we're going to regroup and make sure none of your parameters have changed, right? Because I don't want to lose anybody. Does that make sense? So hopefully for you realtors, this is helpful, right? In terms of really thinking about your process. I want you to really sit back and actually sit in your office and say, okay, this is what a meeting feels like. This is what we need to do. We need to have a drink list. We need to have an all about you form, right? We need to print these when we're showing houses. We need to ask more questions. And then lenders helping your realtors as well as, hey, if I'm a lender, I'm calling my realtor Fridays and saying, you got anyone in the car that I need to pre-approve, right? So that we're not calling you at Saturday at 8 p.m. saying, got a contract right now. So maybe you guys can be proactive as well, because we're not necessarily, and see if we can save you some time. So I hope this was helpful for you guys.
Marjorie, thank you so very much. For anybody out there that's listening, I will get with Marjorie and we will get her notes. We will get it out. Marjorie, you are an absolute gem and we are honored to have you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you guys for your time.